Part 3. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 21. Chapter 21 Queen's Goddaughter. Facing a large number of accounts, Mr. UN had a headache. Even if you are used to it and have all the accounts in your mind, it still feels a little confusing when you have to hand over things that you have taken for many years. More than 10 years. She fumbled with these things, her heart aching and heavy. Since she was a child, she has been proficient in poems, songs, and calligraphy. She can even comment on the depth of each year's examination questions. But for these general affairs, it is really unreasonable. After getting married, he followed him to serve abroad. Outside is no different than at home. Her husband is busy with official duties, and she has to take care of the family's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. When I first came into contact, I had no idea, so I was in a hurry and made a lot of mistakes. Fortunately, my husband is tolerant. To live your life, you need to spend money. Especially if I want to be particular about it. Not long after, he gave these to himself. Faced with such a large and complex industry, she worries a lot during those days. I was busy working day and night, asking for advice, and planning. There is the annoyance of taking a detour, but also the pride of unexpected gains. It can be said that these industries are what they are today because of her hard work. Looking at this neat account, I remember every income clearly. As for the expenses, she didn't know why, but she was extra-minded at that time. Only recorded a large sum of money, and indicated that it was the husband who drew it. Then, those expenses are in her own small account. Her daughter and her clothes and jewelry, socializing with her friends, hiring a master for her daughter, subsidizing her family. I just read it from the beginning and realized that she has spent a lot of money over the years. She has forgotten some of the expenses. This is how the loss was settled, otherwise how could it be paid? It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. To enter the social circle of noble women in the capital, you need to entrust your daughter to the noble women's circle in the capital. You need to find a good husband-in-law for your daughter, and then there is a dowry. She has seen those wives of officials who had no property at home, and they took action to find out. Do I want to be like them? So for whom have you worked hard for more than 10 years? After thinking about it, I couldn't help but feel a little resentful towards my husband. With his ability, why can't he block it? How did it get to this point? When Huan came in and saw his mother's expression solemn. "Mom, what's wrong with you?" Yuan didn't look at her either. "Sit down. Why are you so serious?" When Huan sat down carefully, "Are you looking at the account?" Yuanqi was silent until her daughter became nervous. "Mom, what's wrong with you?" After closing the account book, she said calmly, "My mother has taught you a lot in daily life. But after all, it is better to use facts to teach you. This time, you have learned a lesson." "Mom, what are you talking about?" When Huan felt guilty. "This time, not only was when you caught you buying gifts, but she was also used by her." Upon hearing this, Wen Huan resisted instinctively. "Mom. Why do you say that? You are a grown-up girl. In 2 years, you will leave the court and start a family. My mother won't hide it from you." Her attitude made Wen Huan even more nervous. "Your maternal grandfather's family has a good reputation, but the family property is not rich. When my mother got married, the dowry was very limited. In fact, although it is not much, it is not as shabby as it was later. It was precisely because of her affair with Wen Qian that she became pregnant, which made her grandfather sick and later died. The family directed their anger at her and were extremely harsh on her. If her husband hadn't given her his private house, it would be really shameful. After entering the house, my mother took up the post with your father. The post is not as good as at home. You can provide food, clothing, housing, transportation, maintain relationships, manage the servants, and educate your 3 siblings. It's all money. Although the Wen family and your father have no problem raising us. But if we, mother and daughter, want to wear flowers as freely as we do now, we have to rely on these. She patted the pile of account books. This is Wen Yu's mother's dowry. Wen Huan blinked, his head a little blurry. All along, whatever she wants, she gets. But I never thought about where the money came from. Suddenly my throat became tight and I couldn't speak. When I first handed it over, the person in front left and it was very messy, but it took a lot of effort. Mother, why are you bringing this up now? Wen Huan suddenly felt something bad and asked cautiously. Wen Yu is here to ask for it? She wants it. Ridiculous. How ridiculous. Does she have to give it to her if she wants it? This was given to you by your father and is taken care of by you. Why should she give it to her if she wants it? Even though my mother is taking care of it, and even though I earn enough money to be the centerpiece, it doesn't mean that these things are ours. You. But that's not what you said. There is no way. Everything that can be moved has been moved. After the settlement, the property in my mother's name was purchased. But it was only a very small part, and these could not be moved. Mother, Wen Yu, grandma and father don't want to see Wen Yu, so who will make the decision for her? Her uncle. But didn't it mean that her uncle committed a crime and was demoted thousands of miles away? He's back. Besides, she's just taking advantage of the opportunity. Do you understand? Yuan looked at her daughter seriously, even if her uncle is white now. But with this name, she can take advantage of him. If a white man is not born, his father will crush him to death, Wen Huan said disdainfully. Your father is about to be promoted to Beijing, and I don't know how many people are watching him with envy. That's why she feels confident. She is such a thief. Her uncle taught her, right? Wen Huan suddenly realized. It's possible, but we won't speculate. Then why do you say it's because of your daughter? Wen Huan said unhappily. She couldn't bear this. Because you did something wrong. She took advantage of the situation and exposed the matter. Your eldest brother is getting married, and there are many people in the family. Besides, your grandfather is coming back. When my sister heard about her grandfather, she felt a little depressed. I've only met him a few times, so I'm a little afraid of him. The 2 old men have been at odds for many years. Your father is outstanding and can support your grandmother. Your grandfather moved away so that your grandmother can laugh all day long. As long as your father can sit still, your grandfather will not be able to cause trouble. However, if something goes wrong with your father. Wen Huan was extremely angry. Wen Yu is a bitch. Mother, since she has this intention, she will bring it up sooner or later. How can she blame my daughter? You still don't understand. Your grandfather may not know about the dowry. It's just that he doesn't care. But your father took action and slapped Wen Yu. Wen Huan pursed her lips and looked at her mother nervously. The eldest daughter I haven't seen for many years. A person like your father would beat his daughter. If word spreads, the reputation of Wen Yu will be over, but how can your father be better? Your grandfather is seizing the excuse and trying to dominate the side without using the topic. Why is it so? This was beyond Wen Huan's understanding. What I'm telling you today is not to accuse you, but to repeat what I said to you before. If you want to go to higher places, you must not be stingy in doing things. If you do stupid things just to vent your anger, people will catch you, and the loss outweighs the gain. Mother. My daughter understands. Although she was still not convinced, she didn't insist anymore. Then, do I really have to give these to her? Give it? Eh? Mother, Wen Huan's eyes smiled. Those people have been working under you for so long, and they still don't listen to you. If you stumble a little, she will be finished. Humph. Even if you burn her, you won't even give it to her. You didn't even listen to what I just said, Yuan suddenly became very stern, her voice shrill and harsh. Wen Huan's eyes were red after being yelled at. Yuan did not coax her, but continued sternly, since you want to hand it over happily. If you are not convinced or unwilling, just find a way to get your money back with interest later. But you can't be dragging your feet. You can hide and be looked down upon. You are usually very smart, why are you so stupid now? Mother, daughter, was scolded by her mother and finally cried. Okay, Yuan said impatiently, why are you crying? The reason why my mother didn't coax you or obey you is because, at any time, people have to find a way for themselves with the greatest advantages and the least disadvantages. Way. She raised her head and recalled her life, and that's what she did. You cannot get all the good things in the world only by giving up can you gain. She straightened her neck and said, for example, this time, your father was very guilty of his mother. He gave all the property in his hands and his private house to her. When we were in the capital, we were the least affected by this. The impact of things. If your mother is capable, she can still make money from money. In the future, if there is a chance to get these back, wouldn't my mother have more in her hands than she does now? Yuanqi stroked the account book and showed a confident smile. Ah! Mother! You are so awesome! Yes, yes. We can definitely get it back. As long as we pass this level, it's just a girl, find a way to kill her, and we won't lose even a penny. Return. That's something for later. MRSUN looked at the pile of account books and asked, what does a little girl know? If it was handed over to her, it would be wasted. It's hard to tell what will happen to it when it is taken back in the future. It's so heartbreaking. Mom, don't be angry, we will do it according to the established method. Well, I hope that through this, you will grow. The Yuan family started to teach their daughters again. After your father was promoted, the people he came into contact with were different from the past. Those people in the capital used their power to suppress others, hid their swords in their smiles, and built plank roads openly and secretly. Even my mother and I, we must study it seriously and experience it well. If you want to get higher step by step, put gentle words under your feet. You must focus on the overall situation, be calm, and keep your emotions and anger hidden. In the past few days, Mother has been watching how you get along with Wen Yu. Don't let yourself be compared to an orphan girl. Yuanqi looked at her daughter sternly. Yes, Mother, for the first time in her life, Wen Huan felt that she needed to think more. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 22. Chapter 22. What do I owe you? The next morning, when I went to greet my grandmother again, the atmosphere in the house became much stronger. Yuanqi had already handed over the account to her husband. Seeing that she looked really bad, she dressed up specially. Wearing a light blue unprinted horseface skirt, only the horseface is embroidered with dark blue magnolia flowers. Apply some powder without leaving any trace. The whole person is fresh and elegant. Next to her, Wen Huan is wearing a slim-fitting light purple woven red plum shirt. She is as playful and sweet as a daughter in a boudoir. The frivolous arrogance on his face in the past 2 days has calmed down a lot. When the two people came in, Wen Yu was standing by the door. When he saw them, he saluted and called, "Mrs." No matter how much she hates or feels embarrassed in her heart, Mrs.'s expression remains as gentle as ever, "Sister Yu." When Huan called out lightly, "Sister, not near, not far," neither smiling nor complaining. Yuanqi secretly observed and felt satisfied that her daughter was smart after all. We have come to this point, and being cold-faced or trying to calm down are both inferior. This matter still needs adults to solve it. Grandma, Wen Huan walked up to the old lady and bowed sweetly. Today's smile pleased the old lady, and she said angrily, "Today, the Song family is coming, and you sisters should greet the guests well." "Grandma, will Songwoo's cousin and cousin sister-in-law come?" Sister Jiao asked loudly as soon as she entered the door. The old lady's eyes suddenly narrowed. "That brat is the most unreasonable. The letter said he would come either today or tomorrow. But your fifth cousin should come first." "Cousin, are you living in a distant house? The Song family's original family is still dozens of miles away from here. Yuanlu is the local villa of the Song family. It has a peony garden. When it blooms in spring, it is the most famous garden within hundreds of miles." "Yes. We live in a distant house." "Oh, your fifth cousin has the most troubles. I don't know how many people I know from different religions. Wherever I go, there are a bunch of friends looking for me. Alas! It's so troublesome." Songwoo is the grandson of the old lady's eldest brother. Her eldest nephew had the best temperament, but he had an accident and died early. The Song family has a huge fortune and fierce competition for interests. It is common for them to do evil things. It was said to be an accident, but I couldn't tell what happened. The nephew's wife was quite useful, and she surprisingly protected Song Shang. Song Shang is even better. Young, smart, and ruthless, he took control of the Song family and prospered the Song family by stepping on those so-called relatives. The key point is, he is very close to himself. Especially in the past few years, the family has benefited a lot from him. Even the old one in the family often comes to him for help. Ah! But feel proud of yourself. So, in this world, the old lady loves her eldest son first, and Song Shang the second. Not even enough for a few grandchildren. Wen Huan leaned beside the old lady and spoke in agreement, while glancing at Wen Yu. Wen Yu was wearing a very light beige skirt today. There is nothing special about the material style. What is special is the few appliques sewn on the skirt. There is only a simple silver hairpin on her head. Although it looks quite exquisite, the old lady's jewelry is graceful, the mother's elegance, and the second aunt's dress is low-key, but the things she wears are not ordinary. The several sisters are even more colorful, each with their own style. Even the concubine's fourth sister is gentle and has exquisite jewelry. Only gentle words. She did it on purpose. As if someone abused her. Just, why is she so beautiful? Could it be the appliques of the same color on the hem and skirt? How come she still does this? Where did she get her clothes? Wen Huan didn't show it on her face, but her heart was churning. Humph, be creative and attract others' attention. If Wen Yu knew what she was thinking, he would definitely accuse her of injustice. This dress is made of Yanzu. This flower was also made by her. However, I came up with the tricks and supplements myself. Or because of her knowledge in the previous life. However, she only taught Yanzu, but she didn't let her do it on her clothes. I haven't taken Yanzu out these days, so she just spends time in the house. When I was putting it on this morning, I realized that there were so many bits and pieces. I frowned and looked at it for a long time. I really didn't want to wear it anymore. But looking at Yanzu Mouse's joy, he had no choice but to wear it. Unexpectedly, Cousin Hui came over. "Sister Yu, this dress is so beautiful. It's better than what you usually wear." "Oh my God, it looks like a little fairy." When you looked at Cousin Hui and was speechless. "Do you and Yanzu have the same taste? Cousin, do you think the appliques on this skirt look good?" "Yes." "How smart. So fresh. A little girl, you have to be like this. You, before, hee, a little too glamorous. Later, you were too plain. You have gone to extremes. This is just right today. Sophisticated yet lively. Look at my aunt's clothes today, wouldn't they be too boring without the embroidery on the horse-face skirt?" Cousin Hui, who is not outstanding in talent or appearance, takes her seriously and praises her sincerely. The eldest aunt in my memory was a typical flatterer and bully type. Cousin Huey's temperament may look like that of the Yuan family, which is quite good. Wenwan also saw Wenyu's skirt, rubbed it over, and looked at it carefully with her slender eyebrows furrowed. Sister, where did the patchwork on your dress come from? We have never seen anything like this in our custom-made shop. Ah. It was sewn by Yanzu, Wenyu said lightly. Wenwan didn't listen to what she was saying at all. When did you make it? Why didn't I know you had this skirt? Who sewed the flowers for you? Hongdu. Sister, you really hid your private goods secretly. She asked a series of questions, and in a very unhappy tone. When you thought about how she had done so much sewing and work for Wenwan. She had not even said a good word, but had made so many complaints, she still had the same face now. How shameless. Is this how you talk to your eldest sister? When you asked. Wenwan was stunned for a moment. What? What did you say? Looking back, I want to ask my second aunt how you learned these rules. When you said seriously, over the years, how much work have I done for you out of love for my sister? Who designed the butterfly button on your body, and who sewed it on for you? I don't see you being grateful, so I'm getting a lot of complaints. Is it possible that I owe you something? You. Wenwan never thought that the eldest sister, who was usually so easy to bully, would have such a powerful day. If you are not convinced, let's go to Grandma now to judge. Mr. Yuan was talking to the old lady, and Wen Huan had already stretched out his ears and squinted his eyes to pay attention. Cousin Hui quickly said, "Oh, the old lady is happy today. Let's not ruin her mood." Fourth cousin, your tone just now was indeed a bit harsh. Wenwan's face couldn't be changed. Huh? What's so great? You are willing to do it? Do you think I care about it? I have many clothes, so I'll change them now. He waved his hand and walked away angrily. Cousin Hui looked at Wenwan's back and shook her head. Don't be angry. In the past, you were too spoiled to them. Yeah. I'm just so easy to talk to, which makes them a little confused. When you agreed. Don't be angry, you are doing well today, Cousin Hui said. Cousin Hui, am I stupid? When you ask sadly. You are not stupid, you are too kind. You know, not everyone in this world is worthy of your kindness to her. Cousin, why are you so open-minded? I remember my aunt. When hesitated to speak. That aunt who was born as a concubine was not a good bird. Haha, Cousin Hui blushed. We, my siblings, were all raised by our grandmother. Although my grandmother is illiterate, she is a wise old lady. That's it, you are so lucky, therefore, your younger brother's academic performance is better than that of my elder brother. Haha, I hope that my brother will be able to become a scholar next year. He can do it, and he won the prize. It's just that his eldest aunt made a bad marriage arrangement for him, which ruined his future. Cousin Hui smiled brightly after hearing this. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 23. Chapter 23, People are fooled and are bullied. At this time, Nanny Song came in and said with a smile, "Old lady, there is a letter on the door saying, our fifth master Song will be here after lunch." Ouch, the old lady was overjoyed. Is the letter accurate? This guy is really awesome. Haha. Okay, okay, please prepare some fresh shrimps and crabs in the kitchen. And the best daughter Red. He is getting better and better now. The more you drink, the more you drink. Then he started talking about the bad things about drinking too much. When Jiao asked, where is my cousin-in-law? Mother Song said, come with the fifth master. Several girls in the Wen family immediately started talking excitedly about the cousin-in-law. "I don't know what my cousin is going to do this time," Wen Jiao said. "Yes. The bird sweater my cousin wore last time was really nice. She said she made it herself." Wen Wan had an expression of envy and admiration. "She didn't have time to go back and change clothes. I heard that she is quite famous in the capital. Even the princess asked her for advice on style." Wen Su also sighed with emotion. Wen Jiao said, "Grandma, I heard that my cousin's clothes are all custom made in Kalyuan Pavilion. Shall we go too?" "Grandma, okay." My granddaughter told her mother, but she didn't agree. The clothes of the Wen family are all made in the clothing workshop run by the Song family. The products produced by Cai Pavilion are slow to make and the charges are high. The ones produced by the little girl's family are too luxurious. For many of the above reasons, Wu did not agree to Wen Xiao. The old lady listened with a smile. Thinking that she was about to go to the capital, she must make 2 sets of 4-season clothes for the girls, so that the people in the capital would not think that she was a country bumpkin going to the city. So he nodded, "When your eldest brother's affairs are finished, let's go to Kalyuan Pavilion to have a look." Several girls shouted happily, "Grandma, you are so kind." When you listened to their laughter, but his expression was a little dazed. Suddenly Cousin Hui asked, "Cousin, your pattern is beautiful and special. Tell me how you did it." She looked at it seriously. "Oh, I drew the pattern of the flower first. Yanzu cut the material according to the pattern, sewed it into petals one by one, and then nailed them on one by one. This method is really imitated by Master Qing of Cai Luan Ge. In her last life, she also wore clothes from Cai Luan Pavilion. But later, something happened to Master Qing, and Kalyuan Pavilion's business stopped. She also likes Master Qing's craftsmanship and has deliberately learned it, but it is only similar in appearance. If you don't know other people's secrets, you can't just do it casually. Ah! It's amazing. You draw well, and Yanzu does well. Moreover, the layout of the skirt is reasonable, neither simple nor complicated, just right." "Yanzu? Who is Yanzu?" The 6th sister Wen Su also saw Wen Yu's skirt and didn't know when she came over. "Oh, it's the red bean beside me. Hongdu, why did you change her name?" For ordinary girls, their names are based on their master's preference. Once you get married, you will be called from so-and-so's family. They are not worthy of their own names. That day, I was looking for things left by my mother. It turned out that Yanzhu's mother was a woman who had fallen into the water and was saved by my mother when she was still in the boudoir. Her husband disappeared, her belongings were gone, and she was still pregnant. Her grandmother and mother were kind-hearted and rescued her. Find someone to help her give birth to a daughter, Yanzu. Her mother has always been with my mother. Later, he also died of illness. Therefore, strictly speaking, Anko is not a slave. I immediately discovered it and felt that it was not appropriate to treat her as a slave anymore. He gave her a name and asked her to take her mother's surname. Wen Su listened at the side and smiled disapprovingly. What kind of pregnant woman fell into the water, so kindly rescued her? Maybe she didn't know what was going on. Cousin Hui nodded, "Your grandmother and mother are both kind-hearted people. If Yanzu is born well, and you are considerate, he will be blessed in the future." When Jiao had enough chatting there, and seeing the liveliness they were talking about here, she came over with airs and said, "Sister, I asked Chunyui to tell you that day that I want to eat sweet-scented osmanthus cake. When will you make it?" She held it in for a while and finally came to question her. Actually, it was not she who wanted to eat the osmanthus cake, but a friend named Zhao Ruoxin who particularly liked it. Once, I even brought her a bag home. Zhao Ruoxin has a brother named Zhao Wensong. He is really a handsome young man, not too bad, and he really likes the smell. After getting the feedback, Wen Jiao was very happy and asked Wen Yu to do it again, choosing a special time to send it. However, she told Zhao Ruoxin that she did it herself. There have been a lot of things going on at home recently, so I haven't seen each other for some days. She thought that if the Zhao family came to attend the wedding, let him, Zhao Ruoxin, bring back another box. Haha, these two, Wen Yu almost laughed out loud. Third sister, didn't I tell Chunyui the other day? I don't eat or cook recently. Wen Jiao really didn't expect that Wen Yu could refuse in front of her face. Anger rushed to his head, who said that if I wanted to eat, I would cook it for me? Oh. When I didn't want to eat, you rushed to deliver it? Now that I want it, let me tell you carefully, but you got Joe instead. Wen Yu also looked at Wen Jiao with some confusion. In the last life, he was really so careless, he worked so hard to please people, and he still enjoyed it even though he couldn't get anything. Third sister, I have been making sweet-scented osmanthus cake for you for 3 years, right? Did you take the flour or give the sweet-scented osmanthus as a gift? Or repay me in other ways? What's the matter? I want to make it for you for the rest of my life. I owe you too. You, Wen Jiao blushed, do you think I care about it? She raised her voice. You must be curious. Otherwise, why would you tell Zhao Ruoxin that you made the sweet-scented osmanthus cake, when you had a sarcastic face, but his attitude was not soft at all? Wen Jiao was shocked and angry. When did I say I did it? Didn't you say it? Then why does Zhao Ruoxin think so? If I see her when my eldest brother gets married, I will ask. Wen Huan had been eavesdropping. At this time, she walked over calmly. Ha! What a happy event it is for my eldest brother to get married. With your destiny, you are too embarrassed to participate. You are not afraid of being disrespectful to others. Wen Jiao had a vicious look on her face. Is my destiny bad? My third sister, aren't you still rosy and living a good life? When you looked her up and down with disdain. You, Wen Jiao said a few times, but couldn't catch the words. She stared at her, then snorted loudly, tossed her sleeves and left. The movement here finally made the old lady look over with a frown. Wen Huan pursed her lips and smiled, and said in a coquettish voice, it's just a plate of sweet-scented osmanthus cake, so it won't be such a quarrel. Big sister, don't get angry every now and then. Wen Yu also smiled and said, hey. We, the little girls, only have little things like handkerchiefs, cakes, etc. Even if we say it, we won't take it seriously. Wen Huan blushed, took 2 steps back, and left. Haha, another angry person. Cousin Hui glanced at Wen Yu, touched her gently, and shook her head. Second aunt loves sister Jiao the most, you should be more careful. The wife of the house, if you offend her or make a stumbling block, you will not be able to live this life. Wen Yu smiled at her cousin and her anger dissipated. If you are stupid, you will be bullied by others. Wen Yu returned to the house and saw that Yanzu was in the house, studying the calculation in the mist. Both hands and all 10 fingers were used, pulling. Seeing Wen Yu come back, Yanzu felt a little aggrieved. There were so many fun things outside, but she was settling accounts in the house. How is it, do you understand? Wen Yu asked with a smile. Yanzu can read and write, although her reading and writing are not good either. But her skills as a female celebrity are quite outstanding. He is also a master of cooking soup without any teacher. She probably followed her mother's spirituality. However, she doesn't know how to calculate and keep accounts. Wen Yu has been giving her lectures these days. It's just that Yanzu never gets tired of doing what he likes to do. She doesn't like doing accounting, so she can't learn it. I would rather put Wen Yu's clothes and jewelry in, take them out, and spend a whole day revising them than sit here and read the account books. Wen Yu sat down and looked at the account done by Yanzu. Yanzu fawningly brought her a bowl of lotus seed and lily soup from the charcoal stove nearby. Taste it? Looking at her flattering smile, Wen Yu felt a little helpless. Hong Xinger lingered in the room for a while and then went out with an excuse. Wen Yu looked at her back and asked Yanzu, "Have you told Xiaoji?" "I haven't said it yet. Zuzu wants to test her." Zuzu told Xiaoji, "I hate Hong Xing and want to get her handle to drive her out. Let Xiaoji keep an eye on her for me." "If my thing can be done," I gave her the gold earrings that the girl had given her. She agreed. "I have to see if she is capable." Yanzu shook her head, very proud. "Oh, our Zuzu is so smart," when you teased her. "That's right," Yanzu scratched her neck proudly, "the girl is going to do something big, Zuzu has to keep up." Then this account. Girl, isn't today's soup sweet? End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 24. Chapter 24. There is a beautiful woman. While eating lunch, Wen Yu felt a little upset. The love and hatred in the last life were too tragic, and many events were affected by the two people we were about to meet. Can we face them calmly? Now, what should be done with them? To be honest, her current situation has not improved much. If you have the Xingxing but are not sure about it, you don't want to see it. While he was lingering in the room, the old lady specially sent someone to call. The old lady said, "Let the girls pack up and go over." He couldn't help but sigh. In the past, people wouldn't just complain about this kind of thing. I don't know whether I am happy or sad. She was still wearing the same clothes and jewelry as in the morning. When she entered the main room, she saw that almost everyone was there. Moreover, several sisters have dressed up again. Wen Huan changed into an orange dress. She is very suitable for this gorgeous color. She looks white, bright, and has a delicate air. The Yuan clan has also changed. A light gray Hunan silk skirt. Afraid of appearing too plain in front of the old lady, I also paired it with a silver coin embroidered half-armor jacket. The whole person is peaceful and leisurely. She seems to be an elegant lady who lives a leisurely life. The old lady saw it and thought of her outfit in the morning. She hummed to herself, "The boss just likes her style. The Wu family next to her looks too ordinary, and her skin is a bit rough. As long as you dress well, it will give people the feeling of trying too hard, making them look rustic, old-fashioned, and tacky." Mrs. Wu herself understands this, and as a housekeeper's wife, she cannot dress too frivolously. Therefore, my daily attire is quite satisfactory. She did not marry her husband based on her looks. The whole room of people waited for a while. Hearing someone joking outside, Grandma Song walked in accompanied by a beautiful woman. Wen Yu's heart was still beating wildly, and her back and palms were sweating. There was fear and severity in her eyes that she didn't realize she had. Wei Xianjiao. This woman looks to be in her early 20s, but in fact, she is already 25. A head of smooth black hair, covering a beautiful forehead. Thin curved eyebrows. Her clear eyes were a little bit wide-eyed, and they naturally had a hint of coldness and arrogance, but they also added a bit of charm to her. The makeup on the face is relatively strong. That's because, Webster is beautiful, but his only regret is that his skin is not white. She is very concerned about this. Every day, if you don't mix the powder well, you won't go out. Wearing a dark green skirt with 8 folds of fragrant gauze, the upper body is a purple Sichuan brocade phoenix tail short jacket. The weave and pattern have never been seen before. The purple belt bag is sealed with a pearl shell. The clothes are made of thick materials and have strong contrasting colors. Even the toes of the shoes exposed by the skirt echo the color of the waist bag. Comparing it, it is obviously several levels higher than the clothes worn by the Wen family girls. Yeah, this is Wei Xianjiao, the 5th cousin sister-in-law. Not to mention, she knows how to dress up. The original 6 points of beauty can be improved to 9 points by relying on clothes. When you pinched her hand hard until it hurt, and she calmed down. Look at this woman as a bystander. Webster entered the door, paused briefly, pursed his lips, and then walked lightly and evenly, with his upper body upright and his lower body skirt fluttering. The dark green shoes with purple edges under her feet only slightly exposed the toes. Several girls exclaimed, "Ah! My sister-in-law is so beautiful." Little stars appeared in everyone's eyes. Yuen also sighed in her heart, there is such a woman in the world. She looked at Wen Huan secretly and saw that although her daughter also admired it, she was not like the other girls who were stunned and didn't know what to look at. Can't help but nod. My daughter is very disciplined. It's just clothes, no need to make a fuss about it. No matter how well you dress up, the added weight is limited, and sometimes it even decreases. If you are too attached to this, you will go astray. Turning his head to look at Wen Yu again, he saw that Wen Yu's face was extremely calm, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, as if he was mocking. I felt even more strange. Why does this girl have such an expression? Webster was already standing in front of the old lady and gave her a blessing. "Auntie, how are you doing?" The voice was coquettish and a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but when everyone heard it, they didn't feel disgusted at all, and there was a bit of mindless admiration. Because the old lady valued Song Shang, she was also full of enthusiasm for Webster. "Oh Xiang, you're here, these sisters are looking forward to you every day, they said they want to see your new clothes and makeup." "Auntie, why are you making fun of Xiang Yu like the younger generation?" Wei Shi stood there and smiled confidently. Everyone felt that she was glowing. How could it be a joke? "Is your upper body, Song Jin?" The old lady looked at it seriously. Although silk is also produced locally, it is rare to see silk that is so thick, has a complicated weave, is well dyed, and is so shiny. "Yes. It's used by the Huang family for weaving and making patterns. I gave this piece to the fifth master. The fifth master asks Xiang Yu to make it and put it on to see how it goes. So, even if the old lady likes it, Xiang Yu can't. I'm going to share it with my sisters. But I heard it should be on the market in 6 months. Wang's weaving and spinning business has shares in Songshang. He, I still like to show off my affection in a high-profile way." When you could still laugh, and couldn't help but affirm himself, it was a good thing that he could still be so calm. "Ha ha. Once you wear it, it doesn't matter if it's not good. But it's difficult for others to wear this style," the old lady complimented appropriately. "Every time I see you, I feel like a painting. Like a kid." "Huh. Where's a Shang?" The old lady cares more about him. "My husband was in the front yard, and he was stopped by my uncle and brothers. They said they had something important to talk to. He came to see you in a hurry, but he couldn't get away." "Ha ha ha ha. Let them talk first. How is your mother-in-law? Hey, did you bring the children?" Webster had only one daughter. Now 4 years old. "Sister Han is at home with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has brought you a gift, Sister Han. She had a runny nose, so she didn't bring it with her." Hey! Children, you have to be careful. A few days ago, someone sent Xiaoshi pills from Tonghetang in Beijing, which can be used as snacks. Bring some back to her when you go back. Please take care of me," and she greeted the eldest wife and the second wife and greeted a few girls along the way, "Sisters." The girls also stood up early and greeted her. When you also slowly stood up, bowed slowly, and then sat down again. "Hey, is this Sister Huan?" "She's home, my uncle's favorite daughter, Wei Shi, also gave me special honor." Wen Huan stood there with a smile on her face and said in a dignified manner, "Cousin. Huaner is back. Cousin and cousin are always so nice. It's all good, it's all good. Oh, now I have become a big girl." Webster's voice and movements are somewhat artificial. Although everyone suspected that she might be faking it, there was nothing wrong with her. When you recalled that in the previous life, Webster was of noble birth, beautiful, talented, and full of charm. In front of Song Shang, he was also quite decent. In particular, although Song Shang has a good reputation outside, he doesn't cause much trouble at home. Especially, she did not give birth to a son, but Song Shang never gave her a cold face or took any concubines. This is no small matter for Song Shang. Mrs. Song was so anxious that she could not wait to burn incense in the temple every day. Webster always thought that because she was outstanding and capable, she could definitely win over her husband. So, when Song Shang welcomed him in with great fanfare, Webster almost vomited blood. He was really seriously ill. After recovering from her illness, she was very good at acting and acted like a generous matron in front of Song Shang. His back is behind his back, but he is mean and ill-treated. But she is indeed capable. After a few operations, even a strong and upright woman like Mrs. Song didn't look good towards her. Let alone others. I had no one to teach me carefully since I was a child. When something happens, I don't know what to do. He was also uneasy about getting involved in his cousin's marriage. Even if he was wronged and humiliated, he would never tell his cousin. Finally, she was 7 months pregnant, but was killed by Wei Xianjiao. Still remember that red and wet fetus. What a sin I have committed. To endure those. Recalling the despair, hatred, pain, and fear I felt at that time, I couldn't help but tremble slightly. He sighed secretly, closed his eyes, and told himself, that was the past, it was a dream. In this life, she has the ability to change everything. Just as when you was recalling the past, the women in the room were already talking about clothes, jewelry, and other topics. I'm going to Beijing in a few months, a nephew is getting married, and he is marrying the eldest daughter of the Jiangji restaurant. I have to go and watch the ceremony. Oh? Is that a good marriage? The old lady had a need in her heart and asked quickly. Webster simply introduced various relationships. Then he said, "Old lady, my husband is keeping the gift for you. He said he would deliver it to you in a while, but he hid what it was from me and didn't let me see it." Everyone was talking in a funny way again. When you listened silently, as indifferently as an outsider, but when he turned around, he saw a woman standing by the door. Ordinary appearance, neatly dressed, and simple smile. Judging from her appearance, she is an ordinary servant girl who is from the Li Rui family. In the last life, Webster wanted to harm his fetus. In fact, after drinking the first dose of medicine, she felt something was wrong and refused to drink any more. It was this woman who pinched her neck and drank the medicine. Later, Song Shang beat her to death with his own hands. Webster became the center of the crowd. When people asked a few questions, she answered softly and slowly, feeling just right. Suddenly, she saw the woman sitting over there. The clothes are light and elegant, the posture is dignified, and the tranquility is like a painting. Hair as black as charcoal, and a face as white as fine porcelain. The eyelids are slightly drooped, and the fluffy eye hairs cover the eyes. There is no makeup on her face, and even her lips are a light pink color. You know, not to mention the girls sitting here, even the old ladies, and even the maids and mothers-in-law will put some lipstick on their mouths. And that girl is completely barefaced. Plain clothes and simple silver hairpins. The people and clothes complement each other, and there is no trace of shabbiness in the midst of the mercerized and precious people. It was clean and pure, completely overshadowing the elegance of my aunt. This is, Webster's heart skipped a few beats and he squinted his eyes. "Hey, Grandma," she pointed her delicate hand and said warmly, "she is such a quiet and beautiful woman." "Who is that?" Have a great weekend. 3000 words updated. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 25. Chapter 25, Cheesy. When you had long felt Wei's gaze and knew that he was talking to her. But it was as if he didn't hear it. He didn't turn his head or even raise his eyelids. The old lady looked at Wenyu and said in a very unhappy tone, "Wenyu, your cousin-in-law is talking to you, what are you doing?" Wenyu turned his head slightly, raised his eyes, and looked at Webster calmly. "Grandma, my cousin didn't mention her by name, so I don't know if she was talking to her granddaughter. Besides, it's rare to hear someone praise my cousin, so grandson my daughter doesn't dare to be good at it." The old lady glared at her accusingly. Is this girl really possessed by a ghost? She didn't know that Wenyu could stab Webster's stomach with a knife if he could. Can you talk to her properly? Webster looked at Wenyu, his words were flat, his attitude was distant, and he had no intention of getting acquainted with him. He couldn't help but feel a little bit sour. This silly girl used to go to the Song family a lot, wasn't she, smiling and trying to please everyone all day long? Ha, what's going on? As her father gets promoted, her temper gets worse? That's so funny. Webster smiled at the old lady, turned away pretentiously, ignored Wen's words, and started chatting with the people around him. At this moment, I heard someone speaking outside the door. "Mother Song, you are getting more and more energetic, look at your magnificence. When you go out on the street, people think you are a rich lady from some family. Is it because you have secretly intercepted my aunt's good support?" Although these words were unpleasant, the playful tone made Grandma Song extremely happy. "Fifth Master, you have wronged this old slave. Our old lady is charitable and never criticizes her servants harshly. The food and clothing are first class, so the old slave has such grandeur. You are not trying to take advantage of the old lady. You have wronged me, but you want to cry in front of the old lady. Okay, I have wronged you, is this enough apology? Ouch, thank you for the reward, young master." From that tone, the amount is indispensable. The door curtain opened and a young man stepped in. That man is here. When you looked at the bad fate of his previous life, it was as if there was a wound on the body that had not healed properly and had been pricked by a sharp object. It felt painful, frightening, and somewhat pitiful. He pulled himself, mixed with honey and copped Edie's chinensis, rolled round and round, that kind of suffering, but in his mind, the last side of him appeared, with messy hair covered with lice, a wild beard, cracked lips, and deep depressions. His eyes looked deeply at himself, fearful and loving at the same time. When you felt a sharp pain in her heart and her eyes were wet, but she couldn't hide it and looked at him the same way he looked at herself. Song Shang is now only 25 years old, but he has complete control over the Song family. I haven't experienced the hardships that happened later, but I am full of confidence and in high spirits. Having a tall figure, thick long eyebrows, and slender single-lidded eyes. Wearing a navy blue silk and linen gown, with ancient jade pendants on her head and waist. When he came in, he didn't look at anyone, and bowed. "Auntie, you are well." After saying that, he raised his head. His eyes are extremely long and narrow, with thick eyelashes, and the eyeballs cannot be seen when he smiles crookedly. Hands and feet, there is an indescribable sense of freedom and ease. The old lady's eyes narrowed with a smile when she saw him. "Ankang. Huh. You're bullying my people before you even get in. Where is it? It's too late for your mother and nephew to please you. You're used to coaxing me. My cousin is getting married. You are really in high spirits on happy occasions. You are at least 8 or 9 years younger than the last time I saw you." Everyone in the room laughed. "Listen to this. Your wife is sitting here, and she won't be afraid of laughing at you for being unsteady," the old lady teased. There was a trace of condensation in Song Shang's eyes, but no one could see it. He laughed twice casually. Webster was a little surprised when he saw her husband. When he came out, he was asked to wear a set of dark green clothes. Although the material was different from the one he wore, the color was the same. You just want a special look? How come when he entered Wen's house, he fell in front and changed into blue? Is drinking tea dirty? Auntie, I just saw my cousin in front of me. Hey, he's going to be the groom, but he's so shy that my nephew and grandnephew could only praise him in a few words. Ha, you're always good at bragging. Have you confessed yourself? Yo, is your mother okay? Mom is very good, but she didn't come this time. She said she would wait until you go to Songjiazhuang in a few days to apologize to you. How can you be so outspoken? I prepared some supplements for her and take them with you when you go back. Hey, you little girls. Aren't you all looking forward to your cousin's arrival? Why don't you greet him? Cousin, several girls shouted. Song Shang's eyes seemed to be sweeping, but in fact they accurately targeted her, and he was stunned. Yo! Has it really changed? Growing taller? Why are you still putting on airs? Haha, she is a big girl after all. He felt a little excited, one step closer to his wish. But the old lady complained there, Tisk, why do you look like you have a short beard? It makes you look like a little old man. When you are 27 or 80 years old, it's never too late to grow it. Her tone was half blaming. But it's hard to hide my appreciation and love. Webster looked at her husband with brilliance in her eyes. Old lady, you don't know how particular he is. His beard is specially taken care of by someone, and that person has to wear it wherever he goes. Auntie, you don't understand this. When you go out, you have to keep your mouth hair free while doing things. Since Song Dynasty, when you started growing a short beard, it has become a lot of trouble. You're talking nonsense again, the old lady scolded. When you stood up and saluted him from a distance without moving forward. Song Shang was dissatisfied and puzzled. Didn't this silly girl like to pester him in the past? Why, when the girl is old, she admits to giving birth. There was a sour feeling in my heart, and I was extremely dissatisfied with her. Suddenly I saw Wenyu looking at me, and I couldn't help but feel a tremor in my heart. Then, my heart sank again. What is her expression? Wenyu looked at him with eyes that were silent and sad, with a little pity. What happened? Wanting to take a closer look, Wenyu had already turned his head. Song Shang felt a little panicked. It seemed that there was something I didn't know about. Looking back, I want to check carefully. Wen Jiao shouted from the side, cousin, have you brought us anything new? Humph, you just ask your cousin for something new. If you don't have a good female celebrity and respect your cousin, you want a gift. No. Song Shang looked unhappy. Ah. Cousin. Wen Su stamped her feet anxiously. Her female beauty was the worst and she couldn't use it at all. Everyone in the room laughed. Although Wen Huan was smiling on the surface, in his heart, he looked down on Song Wu. Because Song Wu is still a white man. Have some connections, know how to do business, and made a lot of money. Just like this cousin-in-law, no matter how well dressed she is, what is her identity? Of the women in this house, the first one is the mother, then the old lady, and then myself. Suddenly, she thought of Wenyu again, and her heart sank. Don't look at the word eldest brother, there is really a big difference. That dead girl is still her father's first wife and eldest daughter, and her status is 2 levels higher than hers. The more I think about it, the more I feel like I can't keep this person. She's gone. Song Shang had already asked someone to bring the box in, and the girls were chattering and laughing. One for each person, no one will be left out, don't worry, Webster smiled, but her expression couldn't help but be a little arrogant. The old lady was slightly annoyed when she saw it, but she didn't show it. The girls are really happy. One of them is that the thing given by Song Shang is really good and can impress her best friends for a long time. Another one, My grandmother valued this fifth cousin more than her own grandson. Grandma was very happy that they and Song Shang had not seen each other, so everyone tried their best to show off. When you also understood that in the past, he would get in front of his cousin and try his best to please his grandmother. Even if the items she gets are particularly good, they will be taken away by her sisters afterwards. For the rest, she has two good friends who always think of her and treat her as a return gift. But today, she sat there, immersed in her own emotions, and did not step forward. Song Shang has been paying attention to her, watching her sitting there without moving. What the is going on? Uneasy and restless, with hundreds of claws scratching the heart. The desire to be close to her was so intense that I couldn't hold it back. I took a box with my own hands and walked over. Cousin Au. He didn't realize that his expression and voice were both mean. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 26. Chapter 26. She is so frivolous. When you lowered his eyes and did not respond. Cousin Au. Seeing that she ignored him, he shouted again, his voice carrying a special accent. Having no choice but to raise his eyes, he saw Songwoo in front of him, the boss with his narrow eyes, glowing, and she was all inside. He grinned, showing his white teeth. The clothes are well dressed, the nails are neatly manicured, and there is a bit of inexplicable affection and a bit of irregularness. The impression of saying goodbye to the previous life formed a strong contrast and impacted Wen Yu. She panicked and took the box with both hands. Thank you, cousin." His voice was dry and low, his breath was weak, and his eye circles were slightly red. Song Shang narrowed his eyes again. No, something big must have happened. Huh? It hasn't been long since we last saw our little Au. Why has he grown so much? He sat next to Wen Yu and glanced at everyone from the corner of his eye. They were all opening gifts, but no one paid attention to him. With a hint of emotion in his voice, he quietly looked at Wen Yu and sighed, alas, even though she is a grown-up girl, she is still flat and green. Haha, she is still a little girl. It's my little girl. He felt like an old fox with ulterior motives, guarding the little white rabbit eating carrots. He felt embarrassed and his ears turned red. When you said with a heavy heart, yes. He opened his mouth, only to find that his throat was still tight and it was difficult to speak. In the last life, the two of them experienced too much suffering. His love was unknown, and he didn't understand it until his death, but the feeling was real. Even though he is usually cheerful and clear, transparent and steady, and considers everyone's feelings, it seems that it is easy to get acquainted with him and even get close to him. In fact, when you knew that apart from his mother, he also expressed his feelings towards himself, from the bottom of his heart. Other times, it comes out of necessity and habit, not the heart. This is something I only came to understand after spending time with him. His surprise and outlook after knowing she was pregnant. His pain and collapse when the child was not saved. Although he was so kind to himself, it seems like he is still so now. But those painful experiences, especially the feeling when the red meatball left the body, and the tragic death of the last two people. Can't pretend that it never happened. When you lowered his eyes and calmed down. Me and you, there are grudges and grudges, there is affection and hurt. In the end, we all died. Then it's all over. In this life, I will live well and accomplish what I want to do. Then, I will try my best to help you so that you will not end up like that. But nothing else, I can't give it. Song Shang saw the slight moisture in her eyes for a moment, the tangled pain on her face, and finally a hint of determination. I felt even more uneasy, and I wanted to pull her out immediately and ask her why. Wen Yu made up his mind, smiled politely and distantly, and stopped talking. Song Shang looked at her steadily and decided not to force her until the matter was understood clearly. Wenwan had already squeezed in beside the old lady and showed her the things her cousin had given her one by one. The old lady looked at them for a long time. She didn't even know what they were, so they started discussing them animatedly. Webster was standing over there, his eyes caught sight of her husband and Wen Yu, her heart skipped a beat, and her eyes could not help but feel cold. In fact, her relationship with her husband is not exactly what everyone sees. She is confident that she has outstanding talents, and she married into the Song family at a low age. Song Shang was lucky to have a wife like her. Therefore, her straight waist is a must. But on the other hand, she hasn't given birth to a son yet. In the Song family, this is very troublesome. Furthermore, she still has some unclear feelings about her husband. It feels like, you have it in your hand, but you can't control it. Although my heart is often unsettled, my fighting spirit is often aroused. This is interesting. Having said that, there is also overt and covert speculation, exploration, and precautions. As a result, it was still the same as before. It seemed like nothing was wrong, but something was wrong. But at this moment, she clearly felt that her husband's expression and demeanor were very different. Look at Wen Yu more carefully. Suddenly I felt that my elaborate makeup looked a bit old-fashioned and tacky compared to the girl's natural appearance. Wen's words were obviously distant, but her husband took the initiative to come over and flatter her. That's not true. How can she tolerate someone as arrogant as her? So she also took a small box and walked over and handed it to Wen Huan, who was not far from Wen Yu. The old lady was still playing with those rare things with Wen Wan, and asked Song Shang, "It's true, Ah Shang, where did you get these? If you want to give it to your cousins, Ah Shang must put some thought into it." Song Shang pointed to the gift and talked to Wen Yu. When the old lady asked, he answered everything. Ha ha. Just spoil them, the old lady felt particularly proud. Oh, Ah Shang, I have something to tell you later, before the dead old man comes back. Song Shang nodded perfunctorily, okay, his whole mind had not left Wen Yu. Wen Huan got the gift. Seeing how warm-hearted Wei she was, Wen Huan put aside her reserve and thanked her with a sweet smile. He also made some small talk to save face. "Auntie, when will you leave for Beijing?" Webster asked Yuan. Yuanqi said, "After Brother Feng gets married, I'm afraid we have to leave. My mother-in-law's birthday and the Tianlong Temple celebration will be held in the next few days. Neither you nor your uncle will be able to attend." Yuan's face looked regretful. "Originally, your uncle wanted me to stay with the children, but the house in the capital has not been cleaned up yet. Your uncle has just taken office, and he has to take care of things around him. I don't worry, you have to go and watch." "Yes, there are a lot of things going on when I first take office. It's just that this time the Tianlong Temple Millennium Celebration is particularly grand. It's a pity that I can't participate." "Yes," Yuan agreed. She did feel regretful. This was also an opportunity to meet some good people. Webster is talking to Yuanqi, but his mind is on her husband. Seeing that Song Shang was still talking to Wen Yu with a smile, Wen Yu lowered his eyes and remained silent. But the husband kept talking. "Talk about it? What are you talking about?" Webster felt furious. The Yuan family knew that Song Shang was very important to the Wen family, so she was very willing to maintain the Wei family. "From now on, we can meet in the capital. You have gone there many times before and met many people. You still want to have the relationship in the capital. You recommended it? That's natural. I heard from my mother that our two courtyards are not far apart. It will only take a cup of tea, by then." Yuan's heart had already flown to the capital. Yes, Wei she didn't want to talk in depth. She wanted to know what Songshang was talking about. In a few days, it will be my mother's birthday. This time, I want to hold a small show for her. We have invited the most famous theater troupe, the circus troupe. There will also be a horse show by the lake. Fifth brother has prepared a horse for you. The white horse is only 2 years old, but it is very beautiful. I remember that Au can ride a horse. When you ignored him, and he didn't care, and continued, it doesn't matter if you don't know. Fifth brother can teach you. Choose a day, let's set off early in the morning, ride along the lake all morning, and eat fish in Jingqiao town at noon. Then, after a short rest, we went back around the west slope. There were many flowers planted there, and it was beautiful along the way. If you are interested, we can all ride around the lake, but that will take a long time. I have to stay in the house in Wangyuan building for 2 days. I ask Sister Ye to accompany you. Huh? Don't you have 2 better female companions? Take them with you. Cousin has made arrangements for you and can also send a car to pick them up. Songshang was good-tempered and talked leisurely. When you didn't show it on his face, but he was terribly upset in his heart. What are you talking about? I don't go. No riding. Don't eat fish. Don't take anyone with you. But she can't say. Cousin, you don't need to make special arrangements. It's not sure whether I'm going or not, when you deliberately comforted him. Huh, you must go. Oh, don't forget to take that girl Hongdu with you. Her name is Yanzu now? Snort. What's wrong? Little Au? Aren't you jealous after I've been talking for so long? Where's the white horse? You don't even need to prepare riding clothes. I've had several sets prepared, including large, medium and small ones. He looked up and down. Although I have grown taller, I am still very thin and flat, so I should be able to wear something medium-sized. Wearing riding clothes, riding a white horse, with a female companion by his side, eyes full of flowers, and the fish that is so delicious, it is really beautiful when you think about it. When you was almost taken away, but suddenly remembered his own business and interrupted him, cousin, I really have something that I want to talk to you about in private. By the way, there is also the hairpin, which must be returned to him. Ah, really? Songshang didn't smile, his eyes were wide open, and there seemed to be a glimmer of light in them. When you couldn't help but avoid his sight. Well, I just wanted to ask you for a favor or something. Her voice lowered. Songshang moved closer to her. Huh? Help? Okay. No, 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 what do you mean by helping? If you have anything to do, just ask your cousin to do it. Seeing Wen Yu staring at him unhappily, he quickly said, okay, okay. You set a time, and then we will talk in detail. Then he used this story to get closer and looked at Wen Yu carefully. How beautiful. The hair on the eyes is very dense. Covering your eyes, you are so fascinated, you look a lot like me. Husband. Have you noticed that my eldest cousin seems to have changed her appearance? Webster couldn't bear it anymore, so he came over, stood between them, and intervened. With cold eyes, he stared at Wen Yu. A bit like a snake staring at its prey. Just like in the last world. Wen Yu's fighting spirit suddenly became high. She pursed her lips and smiled, tilted her head, and struck a beautiful pose. I'm 1 year older. It's different. Cousin, you are not the same as you were last year. Yet. Although these words are nothing, her expression and tone are a bit pretentious and deserve to be beaten. He also looked up and down Webster's head wantonly, his eyes critical and showing off. Webster was a little unbelievable. This girl is going crazy. I couldn't help but hit my head with fire. She is half a year older than Songshang, 24. This is also one of her knots. Sister Au, what about, cousin? Take a closer look. Is my cousin different from last year? Song Shang ignored Wei Shi and looked at Wen Yu with crooked eyes while smiling. I sighed in my heart, she is so frivolous. But I like. How do you want them to end? End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 27. Chapter 27. I'm so angry that I don't care. Song Shang tilted his upper body towards Wen Yu, as if he was joking and a little rogue. And I don't want to hide it at all. Wen Yu smelled a nice aroma, yes. This is his taste. Thinking of the lingering relationship in the tent, I became even more panicked. Bastard. You have become old, ugly, and in trouble. Cousin Song Wu. When you didn't look at you carefully before, so I don't know if there have been any changes now, she became angry and said coldly. The bad attitude made Webster feel even more angry. He, really, Song Shang didn't care at all. He raised his eyebrows and said in a long voice, then, Xiao Er needs to take a closer look today. The next time I see my cousin, please comment again, please praise me. When you really wanted to kick him. Is he flirting? Webster was shocked, angry, and extremely embarrassed. There is nothing better than a wife who knows her husband. Her husband's demeanor and tone of voice when talking to this girl were completely different from others, including himself. Unable to confront her husband, she turned her uneasiness and humiliation to Wen Yu. There was a hint of ridicule in the corner of his mouth. 2 months ago, I heard that it was my cousin's coming-of-age ceremony. For a woman, this is one of the most important ceremonies in life. Huh? Cousin, why didn't you invite your cousin to watch the ceremony? Cousin. Wen Yu bared her teeth pretentiously. Wen Yu's horoscope, haven't you heard? We are born to be hard-working. There is a suspicion of harming our relatives. Well, if that's true, that's not bad. Master Guangji has approved. For the sake of the well-being of his relatives, Wen Yu must be raised in poverty before he reaches adulthood, and he cannot achieve anything big with any title. She actually said this about herself? Webster paused for a moment, looked up and down impolitely, and said contemptuously, Cousin, it's okay for others to say that, but why do you say that yourself? It's not a good thing. I don't care. Wen Yu actually frowned proudly. Compared to the safety of relatives and the future of the Wen family, what is this little reputation? Well, isn't this? My father has been promoted to the capital. I can't believe that I am responsible for it. He. Song Shang seemed to have heard something funny and kept laughing, his whole body shaking with laughter. What's so funny about this? His behavior made Wen Yu even more upset. In the last life, she became his concubine, although she agreed to it by herself. But at that time, she could hug Hongdu, and pull her skin and flesh. That is the real fear and despair. I plan to commit suicide after settling the red beans. If you can escape from the Wen family, you don't care even if you end up living in prostitution. It was he who rescued and buried Hongdu. It was also him who planned to take him away from the Wen family. How could she refuse? Although, he does treat himself well. But from the bottom of her heart, being a concubine was not what she expected. In addition, Hongdu's tragic scenes often appeared in her sleep, causing her to be in a bad mood every day, especially, the fetus was not taken care of. However, occasionally when I was in a good mood, whenever we talked about some light-hearted topic, he would be right next to me, giggling like this. It seems like he told a big joke. Wei Shi was helpless when Wen Yu was broken, and he shook his head helplessly. It's like suddenly discovering, huh? My sister's dress looks very nice. Which store is it made in? She had seen Wen Yu's skirt a long time ago. The pattern on it is similar to the one on her skirt. Now take a closer look, the ideas are novel and the work is meticulous. But compared with this one on her, it pales into insignificance. There is even a hint of imitation. Haha, the ridicule in her heart appeared on her face. Of course, when you knew that Webster was very good at this, but he did have the capital to be good at it. So I never expected to compete with her in terms of clothing. But when I was getting dressed this morning, I forgot about this problem and wore such a skirt. It's good now. She was immediately outshined by her. What are you and your wife doing? Why are you pestering me to no end? When you was angry. It seems that we are naturally at odds with each other. Then don't blame me for spoiling your fun. This, when you pointed at it coquettishly and said, "This is a painting I drew casually." There are people in the house who like needlework, so they secretly made it and sewed it on. It can't be taken apart. Throw away such a good material, it's a pity that I just put it on casually. Actually, I really don't like it. Moderation is better in dressing up like this. Pursuing it too deliberately will appear superficial, and you will be inferior from the bottom up. She flicked it in disgust. Webster's face turned red. Who was she talking about? Webster's makeup and grooming have always been the most exquisite and tasteful. There are so many popular looks she brings out. When going to the capital to socialize, even many people in the circle of noble ladies follow suit. Choosing fabrics and thinking about looks takes a lot of energy from her. She was immersed in it and proud of it. But this girl actually said that. She was so angry that she was sweating, and she quickly glanced at her husband. Song Shang was still smiling with half-lidded eyes. She took a deep breath. Really? But I like it very much. This kind of pattern is produced by Master Kalyuan Geking. Well, this is it. She pointed to the hem of her clothes. It's her original creation. You have to make an appointment long in advance to get it done. Even Princess Zhenyang agreed. That means Master Qing has special treatment for me, a regular customer, so I can get it done in time. Cousin, yeah, a good thing is a good thing, whether you can afford it or not, it doesn't matter whether you use it or not. Praising or criticizing without distinguishing between good and bad will only appear frivolous. Sigh, she is really right. When you sighed and asked, Kalyuan Pavilion? Cai Luan Pavilion, isn't it my cousin's business? Why does my cousin need special, preferential treatment from others for making a piece of clothing? She rolled her eyes at Song Shang, rich piece of shit. Besides, Master Qing treats you so well. If something comes up for you in the past, why don't you help him? Song Shang finally opened his slender eyes again, looked at Wen Yu, and said seriously, "Ah. Kalyuan Pavilion really doesn't belong to my cousin at the moment. Do you like it? If you like it, I'll buy it for you." "I don't like it," Wen Yu said categorically, turning to Webster. Cousin, it's hot in this room." She moved closer to Webster. "Your makeup is a bit off, go and tidy it up." It seemed that he said it in a low voice, but Song Shang could also hear it. Song Shang actually heard it, looked at Webster seriously, and expressed surprise. Webster's face turned red. Looking at Wen Yu more sharply, he released the pressure. "Little girl movie, you are going crazy." Wen Yu smiled secretly. "Do you still want to suppress me? Are you afraid of me?" She looked back with cold and hard eyes, and made exaggerated gestures on her face with her hands, probably here, and here. Webster looked at Wen Yu calmly, then smiled contemptuously, turned around and left. Song Shang looked at Wei's slightly hurried steps, turned to stare at Wen Yu, and pointed at her with a doting look on his face. "Xiao Yu, you are so naughty. Your wife is angry, why don't you go and calm her down?" Wen Yu looked at the fluttering corners of her cousin's skirt, and the appliques on it were very lively. "Well, it's really pretty. Ew. In this world, I will coax my mother when she is angry, and I will coax Ew when she is angry. Others, haha. If I offend Xiao Yuer, I will be so angry that I don't care," he said firmly. "Ha, When you bared his teeth, that's your wife, the mother of your daughter. Song Shang spread his hands and said helplessly, 9 out of 10 people in the world are unhappy. Although my cousin is capable, not everything can or is willing to be solved. Huh, when you turned his face and stopped talking. Song Shang turned around and saw that Wenwan had already finished showing off in front of the old lady, so she was probably looking for him. Just now Eu said that I have something to do with my cousin is here for you at any time. Everything is at your disposal. His voice was very soft, but it was very disgusting and charming. When you felt hopeless and suddenly wanted to punch and kick him. Just wait for me. In this life, I have watched others kill your people and take away your property. Sure enough, the old lady started calling him, Ashan. Auntie. His expression changed, and his voice became longer. What do you hope for them? End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 28. Chapter 28 The Dead Old Man. The old lady called Songwoo to her side, not knowing what she was talking about. The voices of the girls chatting and laughing also lowered. At this time, someone came in and said, "Old lady, the old man has returned home. 2 masters and several young men are picking him up." This time, everyone quieted down. Earlier than expected. The old lady felt disgusted. Damn you, old man. If I don't come back day after day, he will come to trouble me if I am happy about something. I don't even have a chance to talk to brother Shang, he is such an old man. Second daughter-in-law, she called lightly. Mother, Wu came up quickly. Hurry up and see if everything has been tidied up. Hot water and other things have also been arranged. Don't let the old immortal find fault. Don't worry, mother, you are always prepared. Well, then you should go and watch it too. Wu responded and went out quickly, leading a few women in tow. Mrsun looked at Ms. Wu's demeanor as the matron of the house, and she was thinking, when she goes to Beijing, she must take care of the family affairs. But Wu will arrive half a year later and has been the housekeeper for many years. How can she be willing to accept it? The old lady is used to her. When the time comes, there will be some competition, right? Song Shang said, Auntie, shall I go to greet the old man? No. You stay and talk to me, he will come in soon. She deliberately asked Song Shang to accompany her, so that the old man restrained himself. The atmosphere in the room is no longer as lively as it was just now. It's too late to elaborate. I'm afraid he wants to tell you this time. The old lady's voice became even lower, and Song Shang moved closer to her, seemingly listening attentively, but looking at Wen Yu. I saw the girl sitting there dignifiedly, paying no attention to anyone except occasionally talking to the girl from the Song family's cousin. It's really different. On her 15th birthday, she really couldn't make it back, but luckily she prepared gifts in advance. She has always known how the Wen family treated her, but she has a special status and has private calculations. Too much interference may not be a good thing. I can only feel sorry for her silently. My little girl. I hope my affairs will go smoothly, and you will be safe and happy under my protection for the rest of your life. But when you was thinking about the old man of the Wen family. In the last life, I didn't have much impression of him. At most, I could meet him once during the Chinese New Year, and he would make everyone nervous. Speaking of the conflict between the 2 old people, it seems that they started when they got married, and then they formed a deadly feud with the 3rd uncle's biological mother. Listen to the gossips of the mothers-in-law. There have been many troubles in the past, which is very ugly. The reason why my grandfather could not divorce his grandmother or build a family temple to lock her up was largely because of his father Wen Qian. He is talented and intelligent, and he passed the exams and became an official very successfully. He is the pride of his tribe. Moreover, he was extremely filial to his mother, which invisibly supported his grandmother. Grandpa couldn't fight, and he was always angry when they were together, so he finally chose to avoid it. The old man only likes his third son and fourth daughter, and their descendants. It is said that when the fourth aunt got married in the capital, she was in Hongchuang. When you smiled faintly. He probably didn't even know how many grandchildren he had here. Webster came back from finishing her makeup. I saw the old lady whispering to her husband, and the husband seemed to be listening, but his eyes were staring at Wen Yu. Pinched the handkerchief in my hand. Little girl, look back and let you know how powerful I am. After a while, someone said outside, the old man is coming back. All the wives and girls stood up and stood close to the edge. The old man of the Wen family walked in with the exaggerated and careful support of his third son, Wen Shuo. Following behind were Wen Qian, Wen Feng, the groom-to-be and several other grandchildren. The old lady stood up and saluted. The old man walked through the door without saying a word. He went directly to the main seat and sat down. Grandpa, after not seeing him for a long time, all the children were about to kneel down and kowtow. Mr. Wen nodded, not paying attention to any of his descendants who were saluting him. Everyone, get up. Everyone stood up, but the daughters did not sit down. They all stood to the side. When you looked at the old man, whom he had only met a few times in his previous life. To be honest, my father, second uncle, and the third uncle next to me are all good looking, mostly because of my grandfather. He is over 50, with a ruddy complexion, black hair, black eyebrows and black eyes, a regular face and a straight figure. Wearing a sophisticated black silk robe. At first glance, she is much prettier than the old lady, much younger. Sit there, you feel strong and unpredictable. When you quietly looked around. Everyone in the family was silent, and even the timid ones didn't dare to raise their heads. Even the usually arrogant second uncle has become much more honest. It is also because my father is Wen Qian, and he can sit down at his head generously and remain calm. The third uncle took his third aunt Guan, the fifth girl Wen Jing, the seventh girl Wen Man, and several sons to pay tribute to the old lady. Wen Jing is 13 years old, while Wen Man looks only 5 or 6 years old. She is plump and cute, and is being led by her sister Wen Jing. It seems that the sisters are closer to each other than the old lady and the girls in front of her. Guan has a round face, thick eyebrows, and round eyes, and is quite beautiful. She and her third uncle look a bit like husband and wife. This is the daughter-in-law chosen by the old man himself. Although she is just a concubine's wife, because the old man has invested a lot of money, the third aunt's family background and talents are no worse than those of the Wu family. Moreover, after marrying Wen Shuo, she has always been protected by the old man and has not been much angry with her mother-in-law. She has 2 sons and 2 daughters. Life is the most comfortable. Hey, look at it, it seems like you are pregnant again. Look at the concubines and concubines next to me whose names and rankings I don't know. Oh my God, there are so many descendants and the population is prosperous. Guanxi greeted the old lady decently. The old lady also saw Guanxi's body, and her face couldn't help but smell bad. When you felt funny looking at it? With the old man protecting him, the third uncle's family could live a good life. But if his grandfather is gone, not to mention the old lady pressing him down, his father probably won't let him go. It is unclear whether we can keep it in the future if we make more money now. There are 2 beautiful women in their 20s next to them. One is wearing light pink and the other is wearing light green. They have small waists. They are very beautiful and wear very particular jewelry. They are the 2 favorites of the old man in recent times. Concubine. Seeing the 2 concubines saluting respectfully, the old lady couldn't help but want to get angry. Just let such a concubine go back to the courtyard, or bring her to me. Show off in front of these granddaughters and Webster. This old man is still so out of tune. The old man saw the old lady's stinky face out of the corner of his eye, but he felt very happy. He has no interest in a house full of children and grandchildren, and has nothing to say. As soon as he saw Song Shang, a smile immediately appeared on his face. "Hey, Song Shang." Song Shang stepped forward and saluted. "I passed by you last time to visit your old man, but you were not there. You said you were going fishing in the river. You are really living like a fairy." "Haha, that time, Mr. Lu from the capital came, he'd better go fishing and go with him." "Then you must have defeated him, right?" Not really." The old man was really a little dissatisfied. "Go back and find you a good pole, one with a long string that can be thrown to the other side of the river." "Haha, that's not necessary, just make the rod and line stronger, because the rod broke. I caught a big fish several times on the way." "Okay." "Haha." Song Shang smiled heartily. Wen Chuo smiled and said, "Father, when you meet Brother Shang, you have to catch him quickly. We need Brother Shang's help for what we do." "Oh, it's true, Brother Shang, I have something small to ask of you. Can I tell you about it later?" "What's the point of asking for words between you and Song Shang? If something happens, just give the order directly. If you can do it, Song Shang will be furious." Although what he said was sincere, the old man seemed to be a little slippery. "I can't help but feel a little worried. Did the dead old woman instill something?" "Ha ha ha ha. You. I can't even open my mouth to bring you such trouble. Let's talk about it later." Song Shang's attitude was unclear. Okay, the old man turned to look at the old lady, and tried his best to show a gentle attitude. "Brother Feng's affairs are all settled." The old lady's attitude was very respectful. "Basically everything is done. You will listen to it later. If there are any changes that need to be made, let them do it as soon as possible." Mr. Wen nodded. "It's natural for the eldest grandson to get married in a more grand ceremony. My 10th uncle is coming, and I have already made arrangements for it. There is still a yard here, let's look back and see where the old man wants to live." Mr. Wen nodded and was about to leave. Suddenly he remembered something and asked, "Where's that girl Wen Yu?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 29. Chapter 29. Become a delicious pastry. Wen Yu was talking to her grandfather and was not distracted, so she heard her name as soon as it was called. "But I still can't believe it. You're calling me?" Looking at everyone's eyes turning to her, "Well, that's it?" The old lady's eyes sharpened and she became alert. Why did this old man call us Wen Yu? Involuntarily glanced at the eldest son. Wen Qian looked calm. And she looked at her husband and then at Wen Huan. Wen Huan was obviously a little excited, but she tried to restrain herself and pursed her lips fiercely. Wen Yu stepped forward in a polite manner and saluted. "Wen Yu greets Grandpa. Wish you all the best for Grandpa." His voice was neither too loud nor too soft, and his movements were skillful and graceful. Wen Ruhiang raised his eyebrows when he saw Wen Yu, obviously a little surprised. This eldest granddaughter is so outstanding? My heart was sour, but my mind turned around, and I smiled at my family for the first time. Well, now that I'm an adult, I'm a big girl. Grandpa has prepared a coming-of-age gift, which will be handed over to you by your third aunt in a while. In a few days, there is a dragon boat race in Xinjiang. I will pick you up later and socialize with the people near Miwen. Miwen is the villa of the Wen family, more than 200 miles away from here." The old lady secretly resented that this old man had plans to marry Wen Yu. After taking a look at Wen Yu, this girl's appearance is of great use. This dead thing. After hearing what her grandfather said, Wen Yu's face suddenly brightened up. She looked a little excited, but she restrained herself very well. My grandfather is kind, and my granddaughter is grateful. She doesn't have the coquettishness of a younger daughter at all, and has the demeanor of an eldest daughter with a very upright idea. Even when Qian pursed his lips. When Ruhiang was really satisfied, and his tone became a little more sincere, well, good girl. Let's go down. Song Shang, let's go to the front to talk for a while. He couldn't stay for a moment. As soon as he approached Wen Yu, Song Shang understood, and couldn't help but feel a little unhappy. You have a conflict with the old lady, and your children are tied up. What's wrong? This time, even the granddaughter will be used? Or do you want to take advantage of Wen Yu's marriage to benefit yourself? He, I'm thinking too much. He felt cruel in his heart. If you really dare. Look at that little girl's excitement, alas. How did this silly girl know that the old man wanted to take advantage of her? It's really heartbreaking. Seeing Mr. Wen talking to him, he nodded, okay. Auntie, let's go talk ahead. The old lady said affectionately, okay. I've steamed crabs and shrimps for you, but you have to drink less wine. Yes, don't worry. He ignored the others and glanced at Wen Yu from the corner of his eye. Webster moved closer to him, but before he could say a few words of instructions, Song Shang had already strode away. As soon as the old lady left, the women in the room breathed a sigh of relief. Mrs. Wu quickly ordered the people around her, hurry up and take your two aunts down to have a rest. Third brother and sister, take a look inside the house and tell me if you need anything. Guan Shi smiled and said, second sister-in-law, please don't be polite. You always handle things the most appropriately. I will take the children and talk to the old lady for a while. Mother. The old lady smiled and said, we have been talking for a long time. You go back to your room and rest first. If you are not tired, the child in your belly can't bear it. Ms. Guan was not pretentious. Thank you, Mother, for your consideration. We've been talking for a long time. I'll stay with your cousin for a while. Everyone, please go back to your room. After everyone came out, Guan called out, girl you, the gift your grandfather gave you is at the third aunt's place. Why don't you go with the third aunt? When you walked up gently and said softly, is third aunt too tired? I'm not tired, it's my coming of age ceremony for you, but it's more than 2 months late. My third aunt is really embarrassed. Wen Jing pulled Wen Man up and said with a smile, Jing'er also drew a fan for eldest sister. When she got back to the house, she gave it to eldest sister. Wen Yu's eyes were slightly red and her voice was choked, third aunt, fifth sister I. Okay. We are a family, come on, Guan said Wen, and the two of them linked arms. I'm in charge of all the affairs of me. When Guan walked slowly and said slowly, your grandfather is a wise old man, and it is not up to the third aunt to do important things. But after all, he is old, and he has to live a long life. I'm much more meticulous than before. There are so many children at home, and I can't take care of things here at all. I understand, third aunt, you are very touched by Wen Yu, but I don't know what to say. Silly boy. You are too thoughtful. I will take you to Miwen to live in a few days. Why? As he was talking, he arrived at the third uncle's yard. The third aunt's men were very smart and had already tidied up the house. He took out the things the old man gave Wen Yu, opened the box and handed them to Wen Yu. Wen Yu took a look and saw that it was a set of green hairpins. My God, third aunt, this is so beautiful. Wen Yu's eyes lit up, and she looked like she couldn't bear to touch it. The third aunt also nodded, it is indeed a good item. It's just that you are too young now to bear such jewelry. Keep it well for now. When you marry a good family in the future, wear it to show off to your sisters-in-law. Third aunt, Wen Yu was embarrassed, and her fair face turned pink. Wen Jing also chuckled, her face turned red. You girl, You are so beautiful, Guan said sincerely. When Man was young and naive. She nodded at Wenjing and said, Sister, you're so pretty. This is given to you by third aunt Mrs. Guan took out a small box. You and your fifth and seventh sisters have one jade bracelet each. Third aunt also left one. She touched it his own belly. Your third uncle got this when he went out to do errands. Although it's not expensive, it's still hard to find. When you took it out, admired it for a while, then put it on directly. Thank you, third aunt. Look, how beautiful it is. This girl looks really good wearing it. Just now I thought this girl was quite smart, but now it seems that she really has no city government at all. But her appearance is really outstanding, and the old man is very scheming. Guan was thinking in her mind, with such beauty and identity, the old man's original plan could be improved. Guan Shi smiled and said, and this? She took out a small cloth bag, which was quite heavy. Open it, and inside there are shells made of gold and silver, 5 pointed stars. Although it is gold and silver, it is very beautiful. It is considered an object if left alone, but it can be used directly, and it is also very honorable for people to reward it. Given when used situation, this is the most practical thing. After seeing this, Wen Yu burst into tears and said, Third aunt. Don't be like this, silly girl. When I see Jing'er and the two, and then think of you, oh. But there's nothing to worry about, you're an adult. For you, it's important to look forward. Yes, thank you, third aunt, for teaching me. Well, let's go back and rest. Hey, third aunt, you should also take a good rest, you will be very busy these 2 days. Your second aunt has everything to do with it. Third aunt can be lazy. Wenjing gave her the fan given to Wen Yu praised her sincerely, and Wenjing sent her out of the hospital. Guan turned to her mother and said, I didn't expect Wen Yu to be like this. It's beautiful and grand. That's right, I really didn't notice it before, judging from the girl's behavior just now, she must be having a bad time here. Well, although the city is not deep, it is not confusing either. Yes. Her marriage is really okay. Look again, I have a father, he even got promoted. Just now, Hong Xing received the gift from the third wife. It was heavy, so she had a smile on her face at the moment. I kept talking to Wen Yu all the way. When I returned to the house, I still hesitated to leave, wanting to see what the third wife had given the girl. But in the end Yanzu was kicked out. Although Hong Xing was not happy, she didn't waste any time and went back to look at what she had got. Wen Yu put down the smile on his face and pointed to a pile of things on the table. Grandfather and third uncle and third aunt gave it to me. Yanzu quickly opened it. Wow! The sun has come out in the west. Dian Kui. Oh my god. It's more delicate than the one Mrs. Zhang wore last time. Girl, are you a real star? Humph, Wen Yu rubbed his face, the gods want to fight, so they're trying to compete with me, a brat. Ah, Yan Zhu's face changed, and then she thought for a moment, humph. Just try it. Do they think girls are stupid? As long as there are many things, they can try whatever they like. Isn't your girl just stupid? If this happened to me in the previous life, I really don't know how excited I would be. Well, what Zuzu said must be the most reasonable. Hey, put it away properly. Application for contract signing was rejected, sad face. I'm not in the mood to write anymore, and there are still some chapters. Let's post them for everyone to enjoy. I have to let the male protagonist out for a while. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 30. Chapter 30, keep an eye on her. Hong Xing was quite happy after looking at the things given by the third wife in the room. Finally received a reward, but it was unexpected. After counting for a long time, I carefully put it away after seeing enough. Thinking of the eldest lady again. With a glimmer of hope, I went out again. It was already dark, and I wandered around the eldest wife's courtyard. It was a coincidence that just in time Nanny Su came out of the courtyard and saw her. Hong Xing hurriedly stepped forward and saluted, "Mother Su," with a flattering look on her face. "Oh, it's Hong Xing." Nanny Su said in a long voice and looked up and down. I saw Hong Xing wearing a pink dress, with the stitches at the waist specially tightened, making her waist look slim and her figure slim. The narrow cuffs, with a bow, reveal the thin wrists wearing silver bracelets. That bracelet was a gift from my wife when I came back last time. The palm-sized little face is powdered and smeared with lipstick, but it is neither thin nor thick and is suitable. The hair next to the ears was rolled up with something, and it looked very pretty against the little face. I couldn't help but snort in my heart, if Miss Huan has such a girl next to her, she should be dealt with early in the morning. I also said that if I spared some time, I would ask you to question me. "Mommy, if you have anything to ask," Hong Xing will answer truthfully. Hong Xing was nervous and excited. There was a stone bench on the side of the road. Nanny Su sat down and said, "Then tell me, what's wrong with your girl?" This tone, this expression, he is obviously unhappy. "Mommy, our girl, what's wrong with her?" Hong Xing stood honestly and asked carefully. "Huh? What's wrong? You don't know how you got out of this house that day," Mother Su said sharply. Hong Xing was so frightened that her hands sweated. "Girl, she seems to have changed. She is not the same as before." "Speak carefully." Nanny Su raised her legs. Hong Xing recalled carefully, "Speaking of it, it seems to have started on her 15th birthday. That day, there was no birthday party at home. She cried all day. She even fell." "Then what?" Aunt Su interrupted impatiently. "Then, it suddenly changed. It was quite amazing. Oh, in the past, our girl was very soft-tempered and had no temper. She worked all day long and didn't pay much attention to things in the house. Food and water were cold. I won't say anything when it's hot. I can't do it now. I can't do this or that. Even when I enter the house, I have to say something, especially that Hongdu." "What trivial things?" "Okay. Stop talking nonsense," Nanny Su said impatiently. "Is there anything special?" "Special? Oh, she used to be very kind to her sisters. She was always thinking about making this and that for them. But a few days ago, the third girl wanted to eat the sweet-scented osmanthus cake she made, but she refused to make it." "Dare you refuse the third girl?" Hong Xing was shocked. "What the is all this?" "Mommy." Hong Xing said a few things, but Aunt Su was not satisfied. She was a little discouraged. "Now when the girl has something to do, she sends me out, and she only talks to the Hongdoer next to her." "Hongdu, is that good-looking girl?" Hong Xing is very dissatisfied. "She looks very good-looking too." "It's her, but in the past 2 days, the girl has always called her Zuzu, and I don't know what's going on. She may be sick, and her skin has turned dark and yellow recently." Aunt Su looked at Hong Xing speechlessly. "Those of you around us should not only serve the girl, but also see if the girl is behaving upright. Do anything or speak out of line. If you notice the signs, you can't stop them. We need to tell the old lady or the old lady quickly. If a girl's family has a bad reputation, is it her fault alone? Be the first one and I'll punish those of you who serve you." Aunt Su pointed at Hong Xing and scolded her. Yes, Hong Xing was scared. "How does my wife treat you on weekdays? Don't you have any idea in your mind?" But this time, because of the eldest girl, the master even had a few words with the wife. The second girl even cried once. The wife has too much time to take care of herself, so how can she still do it? Remember to reward you girls. Tell me, aren't you making a mistake? Hong Xing held the handkerchief, disappointed and scared. We have been married for so long, when has the master ever treated his wife like this? I asked you, and the result is good. I don't know anything about it. Did my wife's good intentions in the past go to waste? Aunt Sue scolded Hong Xing. Mommy, Hong Xing wanted to explain. Shut up. Originally, the wife wanted to take the eldest girl to the capital, but now that the master is angry, who dares to mention it? Where is the capital? You, a slave, can go to the emperor's feet in this life. How many generations of ancestors have saved it? Blessing. These words made Hong Xing even more anxious. Who wouldn't want to go to the capital? Mom, what do you think I should do? Are you asking me? To tell you the truth, we won't take the older girl with us this time. She stood up, looked around, and then whispered to Hong Xing, the old lady will leave in half a year. According to me guess, I probably won't take her with me. But if the whole family is going, how can we do it without the girl? Hong Xing opened her eyes wide and left the girl alone. Why can't it be done? How old is she? Isn't she married? But the girl hasn't gotten engaged yet. Hong Xing wanted to argue, but then stopped. Yes, it is not impossible to marry her quickly and then the whole family leaves. Oh my God, what can we do? What should I do, you ask me? I want to go to the capital with my wife to enjoy my life. Who cares what you do? You, go by yourself. After that, he turned around and left. Mommy, Mommy, Hong Xing shouted from behind. Mother Su did not look back, while Hong Xing was stunned. Yes, everyone has gone to enjoy the blessings, who cares what I should do? She murmured to herself, but she didn't see that a chubby figure flashed behind a fence nearby and walked away very lightly. In the evening, Mrs. Wu, after a busy day, went back to the house to wash up and change clothes. Sitting on the stool, shoulders slumped, very tired. Mother Wu massaged her. Are you exhausted today? It's good once you get used to it, it's just that you have to be careful when the old man comes back. I heard that Miss Li is very clever when she comes in, you can teach her and she will be able to help you share some of the burden. Yes, it's Dejiao after all. I've arrived in the capital, I still don't know what to do. Madam, I think the third wife is quite capable. Yes, smiling tiger, he's very capable. Wu thought that Guan's appearance today was much more difficult to deal with than Yuan's. Fortunately I'm not around. Today she specially found an older girl, I don't know what that means. Hey, I don't know if I can get away with what happened to the old man a few days ago. If the old man knew about it, he would definitely not let it go. After a few days, you tell the people in Zhuangzi to deal with that severely. Wu's teeth itch with hatred whenever she thinks about it. Yes. Madam, I heard from Qiu Shui that the three girls are not happy today. Huh, what's wrong with her? Wu didn't take it seriously and closed her eyes. I said I had a few words with the older girl. With when you, why? Wu opened her eyes strangely and then closed them again. In the past, the eldest girl always made sweet-scented osmanthus cakes for the third girl. This time, the third girl wanted to give Miss Zhao 2 boxes and asked the eldest girl to make them, but the eldest girl refused. Hey, do you still need to talk to Wenyu about this? Let the kitchen cook one. Oh, madam, don't tell me, what the older girl makes is better than what's made at home or what's bought from outside. That's nothing special. Why did Jiao send Miss Zhao as a gift? Hey, I heard that, Miss Zhao's brother is still the head of the case here. I have met him twice. He is really a handsome young man and a handsome scholar. He said that he can be a scholar this time. Grandma smiled and said, the two servants can say whatever they want. Ah. Ha ha. This girl. Wu laughed. How old is she? Oh, she is a big girl too. Isn't that right? After finishing my business, you have to pay attention. We are going to the capital. I heard that the Zhao family is planning to find a reason in Guangdong. We can't move out of town. No matter how nice the person is, I don't want Jiao to be so far away from me. Let Qiu Shui watch over you. Don't let her get too close to the Zhao family. Yes, Qiu Shui understands. Qiu Shui is grandma's youngest daughter. These days are passing by so fast. You are about to become a mother-in-law and a mother-in-law. Haha, I just hope that if we get married this time, we won't delay Feng'er's exam. Mammy started combing Wu's hair again. Suddenly, Mrs. Wu opened her eyes and stood up. You should keep an eye on Wen Yu. It's beneath my status to argue with a girl who is so unlucky. But she shouldn't offend Jiao with her low eyebrows. Happy. Yes. End of this chapter.